Admiral Vex stood before the massive holographic display in the command center of the Imperial flagship. His forearms crossed in contemplation as he studied the aftermath of what should have been a routine planetary conquest. Reptilian Commander had overseen hundreds of successful invasions across the galaxy, but nothing had prepared him for the reports streaming in from the human homeworld called Earth. The initial intelligence briefings had been reassuring. The humans were a young species, barely having achieved faster-than-light travel within the past century. Their military technology appeared primitive by galactic standards, and their population seemed fractured into numerous competing nation-states. The Empire's analysts had estimated a swift victory within 48 standard hours. Commander Thale, seasoned warrior from the militant Draken species, approached with visible unease. His typically confident demeanor had been replaced by something resembling bewilderment. "Admiral, the casualty reports from the surface are ... unprecedented." Vex turned from the display, his golden eyes narrowing. "Our initial assault force of 50,000 troops has been reduced to fewer than 12,000 combat-effective units. They use their own civilians as military assets, transforming ordinary structures into fortified positions within hours." The Admiral's tail lashed behind him, a sign of growing agitation. "It's impossible. Our intelligence indicated their military forces numbered no more than 20 million across the entire planet. We brought overwhelming superiority." Thale activated his personal datapad, projecting battlefield footage that made several officers in the command center step backward involuntarily. "Sir, observe this engagement from the human settlement they call New York. Our ground forces encountered resistance not just from uniformed soldiers, but from ordinary citizens wielding improvised weapons. They coordinated their defense using primitive communication networks, turning every building into a potential ambush point." The holographic display showed scenes that defied conventional military doctrine. Humans emerged from underground tunnels, struck at Imperial forces with explosive devices crafted from household materials, then vanished back into their urban labyrinth. Others used their primitive aircraft machines that should have been utterly outclassed by Imperial technology, conduct ramming attacks against Imperial dropships. "They show no regard for their own survival," another officer observed, his voice barely above a whisper. "In the settlement called Tokyo, we witnessed elderly humans and juveniles working alongside their military forces to construct defensive barriers. When our forces breached their perimeter, the civilians didn't flee, they fought." Admiral Vex studied the tactical readouts with growing concern. The Empire had built its expansion on the principle of overwhelming force, followed by negotiated surrender. Most species, when faced with clear military defeat, chose to preserve their populations through diplomatic submission. The humans appeared to operate under entirely different parameters. "What of their government structure?" Vex inquired. "Have their leaders issued surrender terms?" "That's where the situation becomes more complex," Admiral Thale replied, activating another series of reports. "We've identified over 200 separate governing bodies across the planet. When we eliminated what we assumed were key leadership figures, new ones emerged immediately. Their command structure appears to be both centralized and completely decentralized simultaneously." The Admiral's confusion deepened. "Explain." "Each of their nation-states maintains independent military forces, but during our invasion, they've begun coordinating as if they were a single entity. We've intercepted communications, indicating that groups that were previously engaged in armed conflict with each other have now unified against our forces." A junior intelligence officer approached the group, his blue skin pale with stress. "Admiral, we've received troubling information from our surveillance networks. The human military forces we've been engaging appear to represent only a fraction of their total capability." The command center fell silent, except for the hum of ship systems. Admiral Vex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's climate control. "Clarify that statement immediately." "Sir, our intelligence division has identified what humans call reserves and National Guard units that haven't yet been deployed. Additionally, there are indications of extensive civilian military training programs. The humans we've been fighting may represent less than 30% of their total combat-capable population. Estimates showing population distributions and military infrastructure across the human planet. The numbers were staggering. If their current assessment proved accurate, the Empire had engaged what amounted to a preliminary defense force, while the majority of human military capability remained in reserve. Admiral Commander Thale said quietly, "There's more. Our xenobiology department has completed analysis of captured human soldiers. Their physical capabilities are ... unusual. They demonstrate remarkable endurance, adaptability to various environmental conditions, and an apparently innate capacity for violence that exceeds most known species." The Admiral watched footage of human soldiers continuing to fight, despite injuries that would incapacitate most galactic species. One particular recording showed a human female maintaining combat effectiveness even after sustaining damage that should have been immediately fatal. Furthermore, the intelligence officer continued, "We've detected signs of technological capabilities they haven't yet deployed. Deep scans of their industrial centers suggest manufacturing capacity for weapon systems we haven't encountered." In battle, Admiral Vex realized the magnitude of their miscalculation. The Empire had committed to this invasion based on fundamentally flawed assumptions about human nature and capability. Every tactical doctrine they'd developed assumed rationale, actors who would prioritize survival over resistance when faced with superior force. "Options, Commander Thale? We have 3 courses of action, Admiral. We can commit additional forces from the reserve fleet, attempt to negotiate a withdrawal, or request reinforcements from the core worlds." The Admiral considered each option. Carefully, additional forces might tip the balance, but if their intelligence was accurate, it might only delay an inevitable outcome. Negotiating withdrawal would be politically catastrophic for his career and the Empire's reputation. Requesting reinforcements would acknowledge that a primitive species had successfully resisted Imperial conquest. "Prepare a coded transmission to Imperial Command," he decided finally. "Inform them that the human species requires ... reassessment. Our initial projections may have been overly optimistic." As the communications officer began encoding the message, Admiral Vex returned his attention to the tactical display. Somewhere on the planet below, humans were preparing their next phase of resistance. And for the first time in his distinguished military career, he found himself genuinely uncertain about the outcome of a battle. The Empire had awakened something that defied their understanding of civilized warfare, and the implications were more alarming than any single military defeat.